The Mariners broke out the brooms down in San Diego. We'll talk about that and then answer some of your questions coming up here on Mailbag Monday. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, sailors. It is Monday, May 19th, 2025. This is Tyning Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And as always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, you can check out our Patreon. All you have to do to check that out is click the link in the description of this episode. So it's Mailbag Monday. But before we get into your questions, we've got a sweep to talk about, folks. The Mariners outscore the Padres 15-3. They hold them to 0 for 21 with runners in scoring position. Logan Evans and Brian Wu were exceptional. Emerson Hancock was also pretty good. He just wasn't able to get deep into his start, and his command of velo started to fade a little bit there in his last inning of work, but whatever. He was still pretty good. Mariners pitching in general was fantastic across the board. They simply outclass the Padres in that regard in a series where, Colby, you and I had some major concerns about how the pitching matchups lined up. We talked a lot about that when we were talking about the need to bump Brian Wu up into this series when we were pounding the table for that, and they wound up doing that, and obviously it worked out pretty well for the Mariners in the end there yesterday. But yeah, the offense also bounced back pretty well from a rough 1-5 homestand. They were able to handle Nick Pivetta and Michael King pretty well. They were able to hang up 4 runs on Michael King, which is a season high for him, which is a testament to how great he's been to start the year. Yeah, it was just a fantastic series, really, that the Mariners just straight up dominated against one of the best teams in all of baseball. So what did you make of it?
Yeah, the pitching really stole the show in this one. I mean, this is now one full time through the Mariners rotation where everybody performed really well. And I think 4 of the 5 guys were able to get through 6. And Hancock was the only one who couldn't do that. And he still looked pretty good. It's just, seems to be a trend where once he gets to about the 70 pitch mark, give or take, the velo drops, the command drops, and at that point that he's a very dangerous pitcher and not in a good way, when he gets there. So that might be a conversation worth having when the rotation gets a little bit healthier. Yeah, no, he was pretty solid. He threw his 13 hardest pitches of his entire career in this outing. They all came in this outing. We saw 98.
Where did that come from?
Yeah. I mean,
like you and I texted each other pretty much at the same time when we saw that 98 pop up on the screen. It was 97.6, but we'll round up. You round up. It was 98. So, but we texted each other at the same time, like, what?
Yeah. A lot of 96, a lot of 97, topped out at 98. Got a big strikeout of Manny Machado, just threw 3 fastballs down the middle of the plate, and Manny couldn't touch him. Go figure. His worst pitch. Yeah, and it was about the pitching today or this weekend, because you look at like the big star. This is a good lineup, and the Yankees are obviously a good lineup as well. And the rotation, without their 2 best pitchers and arguably their 3 best, if you want to factor in Bryce Miller in the 2024 mold, not the 2025 mold, and they shoved against these really good lineups. And you look at what. Got Manny Machado didn't do anything this weekend. Jackson Merrill didn't do anything this weekend. Xander had 1 good game, but you're able to keep him in check. And yeah, Tatis hit the home run yesterday, but that's really all he did the entire series. So these are really good lineups, and San Diego's underperforming a little bit in terms of their run output. But that's still an insanely talented lineup, and they entered with I believe the 2nd best record in baseball. When you started this series, and you just handled them, and they didn't get a hit with a runner in scoring position. You shout out to the bullpen. They were really good as well. Casey Legumina, carved up the middle of the Padres order. Vargas was able to pitch out of some trouble, and Gabe Spire got 4 outs, and Munoz got 4 outs. So yeah, it was a really good day for a really good weekend for the bullpen, but for the starting staff, It's now been one full turn through the rotation where everybody has done their job and then some. And that might be the first time that's happened this year. Now that I think about it, like it's been a rough go for the Mariners rotation 1 through 5. Obviously injuries have a big part of that, but they were really good this weekend. And
to be fair, it was a shortened rotation because Wu pitched twice in 5 games. But still, like you actually got length out of your rotation, which is, supposed to be the case here with this ball club.
Right. I mean, that's the blueprint that you set up, right? You try and score 4 or 5 runs, and you just trust your starters to go 6, 7, and then you hand it off to your bullpen.
Yeah.
And they do their thing, and the bullpens had to cover a lot of innings. And this weekend they had the one start where they had to cover innings. They had to cover 4 1/3, and they did their job. And then after that, you were able to hand it off to some of the lower or mid leverage guys because you scored late and kind of padded that lead and all that. So overall it was just a really good week for the pitching. And again, this is the blueprint. This is what we expected from the Mariners. They're going to pitch really well, and they're going to, grind out at bats, and they're going to find a way to score 4 runs. And this weekend they happened to score 15 runs in 3 games. And a lot of that was due to the long ball, but the pitching really stole the show. To hold this lineup to 1 run in all 3 games is incredibly impressive. And so, Evans' best start of his career, Hancock, one of the better starts of his career, just couldn't quite finish it. And then Brian Wu, I mean, not even his best start against the Padres in his career, but really good. And it just kind of completes it. It's funny, they lost 5 of 6 on the homestand. Well, they won 4 of their last 5. So depending on how you want to look at it, they're right back on
against
track.
2 of the best clubs in the game too.
Right. And if we had said, 9 games ago that, hey, the Mariners were going to go 4 and 5 over these next 9 games against Toronto, New York, and San Diego, we probably would have been like, okay. I mean, it's not bad. Would like 5 and 4, but
not
that's
how we
fine.
envisioned it, but sure.
Right. So, sometimes baseball is like that. And I'm sure the Mariners will lose 5 of 6 again at some point. Maybe soon, who knows? But they're just, got back on track. They needed a series win to kind of, stop the snowball. And not only did they get it, they got it against one of the best teams in baseball, and they got it on the road. And it was a sweep to make things better. And it was a really good weekend.
Yeah. And again, you mentioned it. How about this offense being able to play add-on in the 9th inning twice on Saturday and Sunday? Yesterday, being able to keep Andres Munoz from pitching in this game. Now he still had to get up and warm up, which he had to do in all 3 games, and then had to pitch on Saturday. Had the long break in between, his final out of the 8th inning and the 9th inning that he threw. So I wonder how that might impact his status for tonight. How about this? Just go out and beat the White Sox to the point where you don't have to even have Andres Munoz into the conversation. Maybe do that. But in general, great series. Saturday, we actually saw maybe Dan Wilson's best game from an in-game management perspective. I would have liked to just see Andres Munoz throw that full 8th inning, but whatever. That's fine. The decision to go to Spire in the 5th inning, though, with runners at 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs, it's a big moment in the game. Game's tied. Jackson Merrill's up, one of the best lefty hitters in the game. You go out, you get Spire. That's an aggressive move, especially rain's coming down as well, so you don't know if maybe this game is going to get called here in an inning or 2. So you just kind of have to go for it, and it was nice to see Dan just do that, right? And he got rewarded for it too.
Yep. I mean, it would have been real easy to fall into the trap of like, well, Hancock just struck out Machado on 3 pitches, throwing 97 miles an hour. Let's see if he can get through this. Let's see if we can get him that win. And Dan's like, no, I'm going to my, ace lefty against their best left-handed bat, and I'm going to end it that way. And he did, and it turned out to be a really important move. And he had Gabe and Mooney both had to get 4 outs, and it was the first time I think any leverage reliever has been asked to get more than 3. And I honestly can't remember a time where they sent a guy out there, a leverage guy, sent him out there, and then he started the next inning. I'm sure that happened recently. I just can't remember it. But he was aggressive, and it paid off. He wanted that series win. And like you said, with the weather, it may have been tactical, like, hey, I think this game's going to get called here in the next hour or 2. Like we don't want to be down 2-1 in the top of the sixth, and they call the game and we lose. So I think Dan managed that pretty well.
Absolutely. All right. We are going to get into your questions here on Mailbag Monday in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by wonderful pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk or on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snackin' and get crackin' with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. For instant reactions following every Mariners game, be sure to tune in to the Mariners postcast with Anderson Hurst and Christopher Crawford, available on both the Locked On Mariners YouTube and podcast feeds. All right, let's get into your questions here on Mailbag Monday. Max wants to know, are you expecting the M's to start transitioning Harry Ford into a different defensive role soon? Or would they just keep him at catcher? And if there's an injury, he's called up?
One, Mr. Harrison Ford has been crushing it lately, both on the set of Shrinking and on the baseball diamond. He's been really good for the last month or so. He's been pretty good, but really it's been the last 10 days or so. He's been crushing it. He's slugging almost 600. Like he's doing everything you could possibly want. He's always going to walk. That's always going to be part of his game. And he's doing that. He's hitting for a high average. He's hitting doubles. He's hitting homers. Yeah.
I mean, here's what he's doing in the month of May. 417, 472, 646. That's a 191 WRC plus.
And again, he's doing this at 22 years old at his first crack at AAA. When we talk about like Cole Young performing really well, considering his age and his experience level, Ford is doing the same thing. And Harry Ford's almost been completely overshadowed by Cole Young because Young's been so good and he's been on such a heater for the last week. But I think, I saw somebody ask me yesterday, like, well, is he any worse than Garver? Why can't he be the backup catcher? First of all, Mitch Garver's not the problem. He's fine. He's perfectly good backup catcher. And he's also making $13 million. They're not going to DFA somebody making $13 million to maybe have a marginal upgrade for what he can do right now. I think Carey's in a good spot right now. You want him to be comfortable. You want him to do this for more than 13 games. I mean, obviously he's probably not going to slug 650 for an entire year. That's not really his game, but you want him to be comfortable. You want him to feel like this is sustainable and this is legit, and be interested to know if maybe there's been a swing change or some kind of obviously we don't get to watch him every day. So why are the numbers like this? Is it just because they went to Albuquerque for a week? I mean, that certainly helps. I mean, let's not pretend it doesn't. I don't think there's any point in calling up Harry Ford until he can play another position. And you feel good about that. And so you're kind of in this weird spot because you don't want Harry to be worried about learning how to play like right field, for example, while he's hitting like he is. But at the same time, you want him to be versatile enough to come up to the big leagues and play more than the once a week that Mitch Garver plays. Like it makes zero sense to call up Harry Ford and sit him for 6 days.
Yeah. If you've gotten to the point where you've determined like the bat can help us, you got to get him playing somewhere else. You got to get him playing in a corner outfield spot. You got to get him playing third base, wherever you want him to play. Probably corner outfield spot is going to be the easiest for him to transition to. I assume that's what they're going to do. It's what he did for about 8 games last year in Arkansas. Get him out there, give him a couple of weeks just playing out there, just straight. Maybe a catching day here and there when they need it, but overall, just get him out there, get him playing with some consistency, see how it looks. And then, after a couple of weeks, you probably make the call there. But, that's not something that I'm super concerned about because he's just an incredibly athletic dude. I think he'll transition there just fine.
Right.
But yeah, so
time.
Yeah, again, it takes time. And like you said, it is kind of a awkward situation that you're in because you don't want it to distract and detract from what he's doing right now at the plate. But also, again, if you have determined like the bat can help us, then you kind of need him to go learn another position right now, because like you said, you can't just. I see a lot of people that are just like DFA Garver and have Harry Ford be the backup. Why? So Harry Ford can play once a week?
You can't carry 3 catcher onlys on the roster, especially since right now it looks like Jorge Polanco can only DH again.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to sit Jorge Polanco for Harry Ford. You're not going to sit Cal Raleigh for Harry Ford. Aside from the 1 day a week, you seem to want to give Cal off from behind the plate. You're just not going to do that. So how do you get Harry Ford playing time if he's just a catcher? You don't, and you're not going to ask the guy to come up and learn how to play right field at the major league level while also trying to survive as a hitter at the major league level for the first time in your career. Like, it's just not a fair ask. So they're in an awkward spot. I do think if we start to see Harry playing some probably corner outfield, maybe they try him at third. He's a really good athlete, but that's shooting the moon, trying to learn third base in a couple of weeks. But if we start to see him play not DH, not catcher down at Tacoma, I think that's a sign that the Mariners are looking at him going like, we think he can help us at the plate, and we need to figure out a way to get him up here. But they're not going to carry 3 catchers, not for an extended period of time. And it doesn't make any sense. And again, but the odds that Harry Ford is actually better than Mitch Garver right now are actually really slim. Like, Garver's fine. He's not amazing, but he's fine. And you're talking about, again, a 22-year-old who's got 35 games at AAA. And you just want to assume he's automatically going to be better than your backup catcher who's got a 104 WRC plus right now.
Yeah.
And you only want to play that guy once a week. Doesn't make any sense to call him up as a catcher only. No sense.
You're just stunting his development at that point.
And probably, yeah.
No, you absolutely are. There's no way that a 22-year-old can develop playing once a week.
No,
it's not possible.
No,
especially while he is being asked to handle the most physically demanding position in the sport.
Right. And on top of that, learning the pitchers and what it means to, and doing all the game planning and all that stuff besides hitting.
What it means to call a game at the major league level, all that. Right. Yeah, there's just so much that goes into it. You don't want to. First of all, you don't want to overload him with a ton of information, and 2, overload him with a ton of information and only ask him to go out there, once or twice a week.
Yeah, you just don't have at bats to give him at catcher or DH right now, and those are the only 2 positions he is qualified to play at the moment.
Yeah,
that could change pretty quick, but even if they do start putting him in the outfield some, they're going to want him to be out there for at least a couple weeks pretty regularly, getting reps before they feel comfortable calling him up. So I don't think we're going to see Ford anytime soon, unless there's an injury to either Cal or Garver.
Next question here from JP. What's your thoughts on Leody Taveras so far, and how big of a leash do you give him? As far as the leash goes, until Raley and or Robles get back, I'm not willing to move on from Taveras for Dominic Canzone. I know Canzone is hitting right now down in AAA. I've seen Canzone hit before in AAA, and it hasn't led to anything. Dominic Canzone is 27? Is he 28 now? He's at least 27 years old. I've seen enough, frankly, of Dominic Canzone. He's not someone that interests me at all at this point. Taveras, Taveras has struck out a lot. I think before yesterday, he was running a negative WRC plus since joining the Mariners. It hasn't been good. The defense has been kind of. He doesn't really hustle down balls that have been hit into the corners and stuff. He kind of just jogs over there. I don't really like that. Just overall, I haven't been too impressed with him. But I just rather see if because again, it's going to take a little bit of time for them to implement whatever changes they felt they could with him. So I just kind of want to see what they thought they might have had there, and have them see that vision through at least a little bit more than they have so far, before moving on from him.
Yeah, it's been 10 games.
Yeah.
And they sunk $3.5 million into him as well, which again, I know that shouldn't matter, but let's live in the world of reality that we currently occupy. It does. And so, there's just nobody really pushing him. Am I going to fall for the Samad Taylor and Dominic Canzone thing? No, I'm not. I'd rather take the shot on the defense and the speed. And, it's been slow at the plate, but he does have a couple of big hits, game tying RBI in Oakland. And yesterday had a big double. So Yeah, also I know that it's, nobody wants to talk about it, but center field and right field are different positions, and it does take a minute to kind of make that
Yes.
adjustment. Tavares should be able to do it. He definitely has the range to do it. We've seen that.
Mhm.
I just, a couple plays that you're like, you really like to make that play, especially if you're only going to hit, 160 with a 40% strikeout rate. So, yeah, I get the frustration with him, but I don't think we're anywhere close to ending this experiment. I think he's got at least another month or so, because again, like, it takes time to implement what you want to change. What you want to change at the plate. It takes time to kind of learn right field when you've only played center field in your career. This
Yeah.
is just one of those things you have to be a little bit patient for, and I don't think that dominant can zone is the answer. If you want to call up can zone and in favor of like Donovan Solano, fine, but
Sure.
I don't think can zone should be playing at the big league level more than twice a week. And so you could have both of them, but I'm not choosing Dominic Canzone over Taveras right now, or probably anytime soon. But you could still have Canzone. I know that's what people want. They want Canzone up, and they want him to be the right fielder. If they want to do that a couple times a week, fine. But I'm not giving up on Taveras yet. Too soon.
Yeah, no. All right. We are going to answer a few more of your questions here in just a moment. But first, a reminder this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is once again brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live. With player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. I mean, think about what you could do with $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. You could join me on the Knicks bandwagon all the way to the finals, or bet on Anthony Edwards to eliminate another legend in the playoffs. And if you're new to FanDuel, now is the perfect time to sign up. Head over to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast. It is Mailbag Monday. Let's speed run through these last few questions we have here from you guys. Art wants to know, still believe an upgrade at first base is needed. Who would be a better option right now, Nathaniel Lowe or Ryan O'Hearn? Either one wouldn't be too expensive. I still think Lowe, even though he's been pretty bad over the last few weeks. But he's a guy that we already know the Mariners have had a lot of interest in. And he has that additional year of club control as well. He's someone that you're not just going to have for 2025. O'Hearn is a rental, and O'Hearn is putting up numbers right now that are so far beyond what he's done in his career. Now, I haven't checked recently, so I don't know if maybe those have regressed a little bit.
You'd always rather buy low than buy high.
Yeah.
No pun intended. But the other thing here that makes Lowe the easy choice for me, he's good against lefties and righties. You don't have to platoon him, which means you don't need to carry a right-handed first base only type of batter. You don't have to worry about carrying it. You don't have to waste an extra spot on your bench for another first baseman, which right now the Mariners are doing. So if you trade for O'Hearn, I mean, he's basically a better version of Rowdy Tellez, and it doesn't solve your problem against, right hand or left-handed pitching at first base. Whereas Lowe, you could just put him in there against lefties and righties, and he's going to be good. I know he's not been amazing so far, but look at the track record, look at his career. The dude can hit. And so I'd rather have the full-time player than even a plus, part-time guy. And right now that's what O'Hearn is. He's crushing righties, can't hit lefties. Lowe can hit lefties and righties. So I'd rather have the full-time player, even if he does cost a little bit more. But if they do snag O'Hearn, I'm certainly not upset about that. It's just, you would rather have a player, having used one player at one position instead of two is basically always better.
Yeah. It's interesting. The splits this year, Lowe career has been a 115 bat, 115 WRC plus bat against lefties. This year, it's only 44 WRC plus. O'Hearn's actually been way better against lefties now. He's only had like 22 at bats against lefties this year. So whatever. But it is interesting that the roles have kind of reversed so far this year.
It's May 19th. We're using career stats. I'm just right now.
I'm going to go with the guy that has another year of club control, that has more of a track record that I know the Mariners have had actual, like, real, like, significant interest in. Yeah, Nathaniel Lowe is still my answer. NWFXC wants to know, Dodgers DFA'd Chris Taylor. Any interest or nah, not really? I get what you're asking. I totally understand why, but yeah, 23 WRC plus this year. Is he better than Miles Mastrobuoni, Leo Rivas, etc.? Like, you're gonna
probably better than Solano. I would say probably better than Mastrobuoni, but not for sure, which is a problem. Obviously you're not claiming him. No chance.
Yeah, no.
But if he clears, then you can sign him for the pro-rated league minimum. So you'd only owe him. I think minimum is like $750 right now. So pro-rated, we're about a quarter of the way through the season. So you'd only owe him like $600,000 for the rest of the year. So if you wanted to try that, sure. We heard some murmurs that like the Mariners actually talked to the Dodgers about a trade this spring, and it kind of sounded like it was possibly a swap of salaries type of thing there. But yeah, Taylor, sure. Would he make some sense? He's a righty who can kind of play around on the infield and the outfield. Sure, but he hasn't been good for a couple of years. So
yeah, at 74 WRC plus last year, 23 this year.
So yeah, like I think if you're putting him on the roster, or you're taking a shot on him, in the Donovan Solano role, or maybe even the Miles Mastrobuoni role, like, sure, fine, whatever, give it a shot for a couple of weeks, see what happens. But anything more than that, anything more than being like the 26th guy on your bench, like, I still wouldn't play him over Leo Rivas. The Mariners probably would. Yeah. So like, kind of, but
yeah, just like, if they do it, okay, I get it. If they don't, okay, I get it.
My expectation is that he would survive like 2 or 3 weeks, and then you just DFA him and like, yeah, it didn't work. That would be what I would expect. But sure. Yeah. I mean, again, dude's been a really good player for a long time, so
yeah,
maybe he just hasn't been good for a long time yet. Like, whatever.
It seems like maybe the cliff has come for him.
Yeah.
All right, final question of the day comes from Zach. What should we know about Jackson Kowar? What is his timeline for reinstatement? Does he get added to the 26-man roster or stay in Tacoma?
Now, he only has 30 days on a rehab assignment.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly when he started his rehab assignment.
I can get that for you in a second. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not exactly sure when, but I know he only has 30 days as a pitcher.
May 3rd. Rehab assignment started May 3rd in the complex league.
The ACL, yeah. So, so you got till June 3rd before you have to make that call. And I think that's probably about the time the Mariners will make that call. The bullpen's actually been fine for the last, week or so. And there's not a tremendous amount of room in it. Now, I'm not saying there's not guys you can make that move for. If you really think that Kowar is better than like Bizzardo, then I guess you DFA Bizzardo. But Bizzardo's been pretty good outside the first 2 hitters yesterday this year. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's tough because there's not an obvious like flip. Like Casey Legumina has an option. Well, Legumina has also been really, really good, and so where do you make that swap? Maybe it's Colin Snyder, and it's like, do you want to? Because Kowar does not have a major league track record of success. He really doesn't. And so you're banking a lot on a guy coming off of
it's Troy Taylor. Troy Taylor's the corresponding move.
Is Troy Taylor still in this bullpen?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then there you go.
Did you not know that?
No.
Yeah.
He hasn't pitched in like a week.
Yeah, Troy Taylor's still here. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. There's the boom right there.
Yeah. So when you call up, when you reinstate Kirby, which I still think is going to happen here on Thursday. They've been playing coy about like the White Sox series.
They're not going to tell the Astros like, oh, he's definitely started on Thursday.
But yeah, so that's probably going to happen. Corresponding move there will be Diaz, who I think is starting tomorrow against the White Sox. They haven't said yet officially.
Got to be coy with those White Sox,
Yeah, I would assume that's what's happening. Like nothing else would make sense here. But yeah, Taylor just seems to me like the very obvious answer assuming that, the bullpen remains the same, no one gets hurt, blah, 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 blah,
Right.
by the time that Kowar is ready to go.
Yeah. It might be more interesting when Thornton comes back, what they do there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I totally forgot Taylor was on this team. So there you go. Easy answer. Kowar, what can you expect from him? I don't know. He's throwing 98, 99 miles an hour right now. And he came up as a fastball slider starter, but the Mariners have been really impressed with his changeup. That's what they seem to think is he's going to be a fastball changeup guy out of the bullpen, throwing 96 to 98 miles an hour. So, which will be nice. Mariners have a lot of cutters, a lot of sliders in this bullpen, and so a different look from the right side could be helpful. But again, I would have pretty low expectations of Kowar to start, just because again he hasn't really performed at the big league level with any consistency ever. He's coming off of a major surgery, but he has looked good with the Rainiers. Based on everything I've read and seen myself, the velo's there and maybe even a tick up from where it was as a starter. So yeah, it's definitely an exciting guy to watch. But I would just temper expectation a little bit here on him. And one other name to consider, Trevor Gott is also working his way back, and he has been a pretty reliable middle guy for his entire career. So the Mariners do have some healthy guys coming through the pipeline with the bullpen. And I would expect that my guess is we see Kowar on the next homestand. That would be my guess.
All right, that is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast. For Colby Patnode, I'm Titan Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Titan Gonzalez, Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.